As a computer programmer, I spend a majority of my day typing computer code. While I know many programming languages, there is always more to learn. For this project, I wanted to learn the JavaScript library jQuery. jQuery can control server-side script as well as client-side script, making it one of the most powerful tools for web programmers. Through this project, I wanted to use jQuery to validate forms and to display photos in a new, exciting way. In preparing for my project, I started by reading the jQuery tutorial by W3 Schools. The information from W3 Schools was rudimental. I noticed that when I used their try this examples, they contained code that was not mentioned during the tutorial. This was frustrating, as I felt like I was missing information. I read the documentation at jQuery.org, but it was too comprehensive and hard to understand for a beginner. I started reading through the documentation for simple jQuery form validation and decided this was not the route I wanted to go, as it required using their jQuery library. This would limit the jQuery functions I could call. However, by reading the source code, I learned how to change the background color of an input field when clicked. This information was very useful as this was one jQuery function I wanted to include in my web page. I used my prior knowledge in HTML to construct the shell of the page. I added a form with a username and password field. I added a login button and a button for instructions. I was now ready to add jQuery to the page. I added a basic jQuery command, an alert box, to confirm that my jQuery was working. However, the alert box would not show up. I turned to stackoverflow.com and searched for an answer to my problem. I learned that I needed to have my jQuery function in a ready method. Before moving forward, I decided to check cross-browser compatibility, as this is common practice in web development. As usual, Internet Explorer had an issue. A security box was displaying that required a user to allow content before my jQuery code would function. Another search of stackoverflow.com revealed the answer. To appease Internet Explorer, I had to change the way I imported the jQuery library. Instead of using a local version, I needed to use a version hosted on a web server. Feeling slightly frustrated with my lack of knowledge, I turned to a jQuery tutorial on YouTube to fill in the gaps in my understanding. The video contained a lot of useful information and helped secure my understanding of jQuery. In hindsight, I wish I had watched the video first. I returned to programming feeling confident in my newfound abilities. I added a jQuery click method and an alert command to the instruction button. When clicked, a message appears with information on how to log into the website. I added code to change the background color of the input field that was selected. I also added code to alert the user if they enter an incorrect username or password. I finished the login page by adding CSS style elements and a background to make the web page more visually pleasing. Once the validation piece was complete, I created the photo gallery in HTML. I added the FancyBox jQuery library and made some code adjustments. I added comments and source information for each photo. My gallery uses the FancyBox jQuery library to show photos in full screen mode with scrolling and photo comments. I did not have any difficulty incorporating the library into my page, as I have already learned enough jQuery information to implement it. While my project experienced hiccups along the way, I consider it a success. I did achieve my goal of learning how to validate a form using jQuery and how to display photos in exciting new ways with jQuery.